Hello, everyone. We have a fun preamble topic today. How loud is my microphone? Is it too loud? Can you hear me? Because Ty was saying that I sounded hot, not in a well. I mean, I don't want to put
I
words in your
mean,
mouth,
I
Ty.
mean, I mean,
It could have been an attractive sense,
I
but
mean, maybe you just misinterpreted what I said. I don't know.
it was just all a misunderstanding. But
Right.
I feel like my mic is very quiet, so
I think your mic is at a fine level right now. I think
a
it's at a
fine
normal.
level.
I
I
think it's at
think
a
it'd be at a great level.
It's at a normal level. It's what the level usually sounds like to me, at least. But let us know in the chat right now if it's just my headphones that are making things sound a lot louder or quieter. Uh, Tell
I
us
mean,
how does Maddie sound? Does because I don't know. He's making me second guess myself here. So
we
we need
lost
your heart.
viewers, so
We need your help. We need a third party here. Your hair quieter than Ty, but seems okay enough. All right, so just turn it up a bump, Maddie.
Okay. Hold on. What about now?
Is that good?
Is
That
that
sounds
good, chat?
that sounds good to me. That sounds good to
That
me.
sounds good to you?
Yeah,
Not
great.
great.
Sounds great. It sounds great. It sounds amazing.
He is a little quiet, says TJ Gamer. That's very polite of you, TJ Gamer. I sound like shit, don't I? Um, yeah, just keep us. Whoa.
Wow. Uh-oh.
Wow.
Oh, OG3. Oh no. Do you dare cross? Oh no! Oh no! Oh
OG3,
no!
you keep giving me excuses, buddy. You keep giving me excuses. Um,
Oh
So
man.
WrestleMark says, "Wow, I don't know how to cope with that." Well, we will try and help you cope with that. I think even just looking at the loss from a slightly analytical perspective, which is hard within like an hour of a game, and when we haven't watched tape and stuff like that. But I think it still
Mm.
can help things, even if it's negative or not necessarily negative. Trying to be realistic and objective, but the takeaways are a bit miserable. Jay says, really need Griff's coping right now. Hope he has it in him. Griff is fine. He's just still on his hiatus, but yeah, he's doing all right. The cope from Griff though in our DM was not as copy as past Griff, so even Griff is struggling. So take solace in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, Vince, maybe for this preamble they can rank funeral marches.
I'm not familiar with any
Yeah,
funeral marches, so
yeah, Vince. I'm not really that deep into that. You know, I dabble occasionally.
to the world of funeral marches.
I'm not big into them. Um, but thank you for the mic feedback, everyone, as well.
Yes. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I mean that was essential. So Ty, you had a fun weekend. You had ramen.
I had ramen. I had a fun weekend. It's my wife and I's 11th year anniversary of dating. Right? We celebrate
Congratulations.
we celebrate both anniversaries, the wedding and the dating anniversary, because it gives us an excuse to go out and have fun. So
Yeah,
uh
you got to
yeah.
get out the house twice
Not
in your year, haven't you?
yeah, yeah. Not that I need an excuse, but happily we'll take one. Yeah, had a good time. Had some tequila last night. It was a fun time. Watched a little basketball. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Had a good time.
Nice,
To
nice. Love
to
sports.
Yeah, love sports, love balls.
All
Pause.
balls.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
The
What about
banner
you,
on the
Maddie?
bottom is from the Rams preview. Jeremy,
Oops. Oh wow, what a good call. Wow, the
Jez. Good point out, Jez.
I have been exposed as the
Shoddy
producer.
execution, much like the Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle
Happy
Seahawks.
thanks dating. Oh, look at that, Jez. Are you happy now? Look at
Thank you.
that.
Thank you.
But Ty, I have a what? Why does it say final Rams 17, Seahawks 16?
Be, Maddie, you're gonna need to sit down for this.
Oh well, I am sat down. I've got this chair.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Well then, because the Seahawks did not win today, Matty. Sorry. Take as much time as you need to. We're here. We're here for you. You're with friends, right,
Thanks,
chat?
guys.
Right, chat.
Yep, chat. Kyler, let me step in for Ty there on the Mariners question. They're not signing Shohei Ohtani, okay?
Mhm. This
Ty
guy knows
knows a
ball.
bit about baseball,
Yeah.
but I know my baseball. It's
They
not
don't.
happening.
They don't. They don't call him Matty F. Brown or Matty F. Baseball for no reason.
The quicker that you quicker you acknowledge that Shohei isn't happening, the quicker you can move on to other baseball players.
The quicker you can move on to the Seattle Seahawks.
uh,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh. The
yeah.
Seattle Crack. Yeah. Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah. What's
Oh.
going on there? That's really weird.
It's some bozo shit. Playing bozo hockey.
Bozo hockey. Well, that's never good.
Yeah,
There's one thing I know about ice hockey, and that is do not be a bozo.
that's right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
rule number 1. It's the first thing
Yep.
they teach you in hockey school.
Yep. Oh dear.
Yeah, they did beat the Canucks last night though.
Nice.
And they beat the Islanders the night before, so maybe they're turning around.
Oh,
But
bit of a roll.
yeah, winning streak.
Imagine putting together, back-to-back wins. That'd be
Mhm.
nice.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep. Yes, bring back the Sonics. Yes, Jay. Very good.
Yep. Yeah, Jay, I was going to ask about the Sonics, but they haven't played in a while, have they?
Jameer Candelario is pretty fun to say.
Yeah, what is that take, Kyler?
Jorge Soler is even
That is
more
I'd
fun to say.
argue that Jameer Candelario is
There you
more
go.
fun to say than Shohei Ohtani.
Debatable.
Okay.
You can go either way. They're basically the same player.
Is it like he's like the light version?
The Diet Otani.
Diet Zero.
No. No. Unfortunately for Jameer, Mr. Candelario, he is not even Diet Otani.
Costco.
Yeah, like RC
Right.
Otani. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. Blasphemy.
Should we do the thing?
Matty,
No.
unfortunately, hit it.
Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where unfortunately the Seattle Seahawks have lost on the road to the Los Angeles Rams. They lost 17-16 in a close game. They're now 6-4 on the season. The San Francisco 49ers won their game, so Seattle's now second placed in the NFC West. Geno Smith, the big news was Geno Smith got injured on it wasn't a sack, just a quarterback hit from Aaron Donald. He missed a few drives. He then came back into the game for the last drive. He marched the offense down the field on a 13-yard completion to Tyler Lockett, a 2-yard completion to Zach Charbonnet, and then a 21-yard completion to DK Metcalf. We can talk about the end of game sequence, but it set up a 55-yard Jason Myers field goal, which looked so good that it wasn't good. It was very far to the right after the broadcast showed Myers had been missing to his left in the warm-up. So that was unfortunate, and Seattle lost a gut wrencher. The good news from a Seattle perspective is the Geno Smith injury doesn't appear to be anything more serious than a contusion. That's what Pro Football Doc tweeted from his live analysis, that it wasn't like a Brock Purdy style, baseball style injury, like a UCL or those ligaments, just a contusion, he reckoned. And then Pete Carroll afterwards, he mentions how it's a bruise to the back of his tricep, elbow kind of area, and the fact that he was able to go in. The ball was fluttering on each of those 3 throws I mentioned, but Geno said afterwards in his press conference that it's just a pain management issue. So doesn't look like Seattle's lost their franchise quarterback for the season or anything bad like that, but playing Thursday night against the 49ers in that massive game, it's a it's certainly a concern in the short term. Ty, where do we begin with this one?
This was an incredibly stupid football game, an incredibly scary football game because of the Geno stuff, and the result of this game is kind of secondary to the thoughts on Geno and the concern around Geno. Um, fortunately, it seems like it's nothing too major. Seems like it's just a bruise, but we'll see. What happens if there's any swelling once the swelling goes down, if that reveals anything else. But he seemed more or less fine on the last drive of the game. He had a couple of really nice throws to Lockett and DK. We can talk a little bit about what happened after the throw to DK a little later on. But yeah, just really disappointing. They were up what 13-0 at one point in this game, and 16-7 at another point in this game going into the fourth quarter. They're not able to hang on against a team that they should beat, 6, 7, maybe even 8 times out of 10 this year with just the way that those two rosters are constructed. But I think maybe it's an oversimplification, but I feel like at least some of their inability to close this one out, it can be attributed to the Geno injury and not having Geno there. And if Geno is able to play the rest of the game fully, uh, maybe they win that game. But that's resulting, and at the end of the day, they lost. So, just kind of have to deal with the reality of that. And all eyes on how Geno's arm progresses, over the next few days with the quick turnaround on Thursday. But yeah, just really bummed, really bummed.
That is the main takeaway. Let's get a bit more analytical with it. I want to sort
Yeah,
of dive into your thoughts on the offense, but the end of game sequence, Smith able to re-enter the game as I spoke about, and he spent 2 drives out. The drives were so fast,
to
and the Rams drives were so long that it kind of confuses me. But I
right.
believe it was
They also flipped fields at one point because of the quarter change. So
right, and I can't find the drive where
it was either 2 or 3.
yeah,
It's 2 or 3. Yeah.
we'll be a bit more prepared in the future. Sorry, chat, but yeah, it might have been like 2.5 or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because of because he came in on what, second down after Geno got hurt, third down,
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
So,
So
so yeah, the fact that he was able to come back in and lead the team down the field is really exciting. Now, another thing which came out of that post game press conference is that on the final sequence, Gino said there was a malfunction in his helmet. So after it hit that catch to DK Metcalf, which was a 21-yard pass over the middle, which took Seattle down to the Rams' 39-yard line, he couldn't hear the play call after DK's catch, and that would have been 1st and 10 at LA's 39. There was a round, let me just double check on this. There was a round when they got down there about 27-ish seconds when everyone got set, 26-ish seconds remaining. And I think Ty, the fact that Gino lines them up, he said he just called the quickest play he could. They run a run play up the middle. That could have got yardage, but with hindsight and with the fact that the run play only got 2 yards, I mean, it could have popped
yeah.
for a bigger game, right? But with hindsight, you spike the ball immediately. You then
Yeah.
you have an extra, you still have another down basically to run the ball if you really want to, and then spike the ball, or you can drive. They were playing massive off coverage, and an out throw with Gino's arm being fluttery, you have to really drive that in there. It probably gets picked, to be honest, but you could have tried a little hitch or just a smoke throw with them playing so far off. Maybe gets there even to the slot. They're so far off. But Ty, are you gonna criticize Gino for that? Do you have any thoughts on how that was managed?
Well, yeah. If there's malfunction in the helmet, I would like to see him then call for a spike rather than try to call the shortest length and verbiage play that he can think of to save time. I think that's a bit of a hiccup on his part. Because when you spike it, you can kind of reset, reassess, and maybe that malfunction in the helmet will work itself out before the next play. Because you're not going to use all 3 downs in that situation. So it's fine to spike the ball in that situation. So yeah, I think that was a mental mistake on Gino's part. Um, do I think that that's actually the reason that they lost? Who knows, right? Maybe the extra couple of yards allows Myers to hit a better field goal. I don't know, but yeah, I just Gino in that situation didn't give his team the best path to succeed. I think that's the best way to put it. And yeah, I think criticism on that front is fair. But overall, I mean, the fact that he was even able to lead them down the field in that situation after the injury that he had suffered is pretty impressive still. And I don't think
Yeah.
that the poor end to the drive necessarily should overshadow that, because that was again very impressive.
Yeah, and ultimately, if they make the field goal, we're probably not talking about that. Remember, Jason Myers did make a 54-yarder earlier in the game,
Yeah. Yep.
and if the run pops, we're not talking about it at all. But yeah, it's that kind of thing of, although he's 33 years old and he's been in the league so often, he probably hasn't been in that precise moment ever in a live game where they have no timeouts. It's at what point do you spike the ball,
Mhm.
etc., etc. But very unfortunate that the helmet malfunction kind of completed a funky, weird game.
Yep.
Now the offense started the game super hot. Ty. They
Yep.
had a marvelous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 play touchdown drive to DK Metcalf, opening drive, without an explosive after Jackson Smith and Jigba's downfield catch got overturned. That everything looked great from there, didn't it, Ty?
Yeah, I mean, this game went in a very similar way to the Bengals game, in which they open up first offensive drive of the game. They look great. They look unstoppable, and then they become lethargic over the course of the game. Now, obviously, there weren't the red zone issues or anything like that. Like, the way that it all kind of came together was a bit different, but than the Cincinnati game. But the way that they came out hot and then just kind of started walking, running in place for the next couple of quarters. It's just the continuing trend that we've seen out of this offense week in,
Hmm.
week out over the course of the season. So that's disappointing. And obviously, uh, Kim Walker gets hurt, oblique strain. And it seems like it might be pretty serious, because Pete Carroll used the word legit when describing it.
Yep.
So that's, yeah. So that obviously has an impact on your run game personnel. And I thought Charbonnet had a fine game, and they were able to do some nice things with the run game with Charbonnet today. Uh, but yeah, I think really it's hard to assess this offense, because again they lost their quarterback for 3 high leverage drives, or 2 high leverage drives, however many it was. So but up to that point, pretty disappointing after the first big drive.
Yeah, and for me, like again, we don't have the tape, but I felt Geno Smith. We've criticized him in the past, like with the Bengals game. He maybe tried to make 2 plays happen, which weren't quite there. Was maybe not accurate on a throw to Jackson Smith and Jigba against the Bengals, which resulted in a pick. But he shouldn't have thrown that ball anyway. But in this game, it was kind of the offense melting down around him. Now, there was that sideline fade shot to DK Metcalf where Metcalf looked open. He seemed to slow down. Gino threw it a bit long. The broadcast mentioned that Gino missed him. Well, that, he clearly expected DK to keep running underneath that. So,
Mm.
and kind of another thing of receivers not quite being on the same page. But apart from that, like the penalties that we've seen crept in.
Yep.
Let me just find the drive chart. So that second drive of the game, Fant has a 3-yard false start, which was half the distance to the goal line. Which I was like, at the time, I was like, that is so dangerous, because they're really backed up after the defense had
Mhm.
turned the Rams over on 4th and goal. Then Jake Bobo has an illegal shift penalty, which was on second and I
Second
think that
and
was on
10.
Yeah, second and 10, so maybe second and 15. Then delay of game, which is that on Gino possibly, but also play caller has to get the thing in. They were trying lots of different motions. We don't
Yep.
know the exact details, but that's another 5 yards. So 2nd and 20, not a winning formula in the NFL, especially in that
Yep.
kind of mid red zone situation. And then Charbonnet had a 2 yard play on a screen, I think, and then they settle for and then they run Charbonnet for 2 yards. Oh no, it's a 2 yard loss to Charbonnet. So anyway, I think maybe a
Okay.
check down, and then third drive, -6 on a Charbonnet toss play, which was second down,
Mm.
2nd and 5,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
Yep.
Brought up 3rd and 10. Then that's never going to be a winning formula in the mid red zone. The Los Angeles 11 kind of 3rd and 10 is probably the worst down and distance you can be in. The intentional grounding 14 yards on Gino, but really there was nowhere to go with the football. And a lot of the times when they showed those routes, they were kind of blanketed downfield, especially in the obvious passing downs and distances, which is something I want to talk about as well. The drive 5 was, I don't know what happened there. I don't know why I can't see that more. Anyway, the point is the offense just melted down, and even on the play Gino gets hit on Ty, like, should that have been rough in the passer? Probably, like with the penalties, which is another topic we can talk about. He gets hit in the face and the helmet, but the pass pro just, and it's Aaron Donald, right? But why are you?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess this kind of leads into the play calling, but
Yeah, I think it's play calling. I think it's also continuity issues up front. Talked about the injuries and how that's impacted the line and had a trickle down effect on the rest of the offense. So I don't think we really need to rehash that. Yeah, I mean, it's just again, it's like we can just talk and talk and talk about it, but it's kind of just the same stuff, different week. That's been happening with this offense and the lulls that they've been finding themselves in, and it's like I don't know how much blame goes on play caller. I don't know how much blame goes on Gino. I don't know how much blame goes on the offensive line. It's everyone is contributing to the issue. I'm sure to varying degrees, but I know that you have some thoughts on Waldron in particular. I don't know if you wanted to get into that a little bit.
yeah. So I think what's showing up is teams really kind of expect them to pass in certain situations. Now, on the season, Seattle is passing over expected, so their pass frequency is higher than expected in every single down and distance other than 2nd and 1 to 2, where they're 18% less, and 2nd and 3 to 7. Now, where that shows up for me especially is 3rd and 1 to 2, they are passing 12% more than expected, and 3rd and 3 plus 4% more than expected. That third down's been a big issue, and part of that is you're in non-manageable third downs as well. That's definitely part of it, but also in this game it just seems, and again it's a bit too anecdotal, but in this game the Rams were kind of teeing off, and Gino was exposed in a way that it was very clear that they're passing and it also exposes the offensive line, exposes everyone on the field, and they started so promisingly on third down. They finished 5 for 15. I don't really know if third down was precisely the issue this game. I think it was more like basically even like the gun play action. It wasn't really obviously gonna threaten run. They definitely didn't believe it. So ultimately, there's like a lot of issues we can talk around without, and it is a bit anecdotal, meaning we're not using tape examples. We don't have the data yet on those things other than the pass over expected stuff. But I think we've been talking about similar stuff all season, and I think Gino has played about as I maintain from what we've seen on tape and stuff. Gino's made mistakes, right? But I don't know how much better most quarterbacks would be in the same situation. Meaning, along with what we saw today, I think and I like to make it. I'm kind of biased towards coaches because there's so much we don't know. There's so much they know that we don't know as well, and I empathize with the situations they're in, but who else are you gonna put the blame on other than the offensive coordinator who's calling very similar stuff each game, and the
Right.
the head coach also, he oversees everything. He is also accountable for that, and the buck
Right.
does stop with him. I mean, Field Goals, the SB Nation account, they tweeted out that prior to the final drive, the Seahawks threw it 18 times to just 5 runs in the second half with a lead, and that was also when Drew Lock was in the game as well.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
as Pete Carroll said, you need first downs, but the mixed messaging from this offense as well. Like in the week, he's saying, "Yeah, I'm working on getting getting the run in a bit more, working on how pass heavy we are and stuff," and then you don't see it. So, and I also think
Yeah.
the kind of sometimes disjointed nature of the offense. It's not just Shane Waldron trying to set up plays or kind of hide tendencies or change tendencies or kind of plan ahead on weeks. I think also it could just be a case of Pete Carroll suggesting certain things and then Waldron has his own kind of instincts on things and it kind of gets blended in. But that's a lot of kind of theories. But ultimately, Ty, I believe that Waldron as an OC, it's got to be it's like it's not we've this isn't new as you said.
Right. It doesn't seem like it's like the play calling is reflective of the circumstances the Seahawks find themselves in, particularly with the offensive line stuff and more longer developing routes, stuff like that that's exposing Geno more. And it seems like there's obviously, you've talked about this a little bit over the last couple of weeks that seems like there's some miscommunication in the routes and just in the receiving room in general. And it just seems like there's a lot of dysfunction right now offensively, and like they're able to come together for little bits and pieces of games, like the first drive in this game, like in the last drive of today as well. But the picture as a whole is a scrambled mess, really, and it's just it's hard to see why, other than the most common denominator, which is Waldron, which is the offensive coordinator, which is and also the direction of Pete Carroll as well, and just the trickle down effect that that has on the player personnel. So, um, yeah, I don't, we can speculate all we want. We're not there, we're not in the building, so we don't know for sure kind of what the miscommunication is, or what to what degree the miscommunication is, and what the rift essentially is here between coach and or coaches and players. But something's going on here because it's not getting fixed, and they're doing a lot of the same stuff. So it doesn't even seem like they're really trying to fix it. It seems like they're just kind of like they're trying to fix it by just doing it again and again and again, and just we're gonna fix it by having it work eventually. But like
Yeah.
we're 11 weeks in now, 10 games in. Like,
So week 11, so just for today, right? Seattle's
mm,
pass frequency over expected in third and 1 and 2. Now I don't know how many of those it's a very small sample size. I imagine
mhm,
I should find a way to look up the sample size. But anyway, 23%. And in second and 1 and 2, 72% passing frequency over the expected rate. So, I mean, that's pretty nuts. Like in short yardage,
yeah,
it's okay to run the ball.
yeah, yeah,
Especially when the run game again, like how often have we said this? It seemed to have some stuff going. That said, Charbonnet
yeah.
did finish 6 of 22 for 3.7 yards per carry, which isn't as much as I thought. But
Uh,
yeah,
but I mean, they have been able to find success. I think it's really like the sequencing of the run calls.
it feels
We've
so disjointed, doesn't it?
we've
And
seen a lot of like second and 6+ runs.
yeah, which is like it's like okay, well, this is a tendency breaker that you don't expect. This is to keep you honest. It's
Yeah,
like oh, great, but also it's okay in the short
but when
yardage
that
to run it
but
a
when
bit
that's
more.
but when that's also compounded with these long stretches of throwing it on first, second, third, like
Right.
it just kind of it doesn't feel like there's actually like a concise plan here.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So that's kind of what we can say about the offense without looking at the tape. I would say that the at times the execution's been really poor, but ultimately if the execution keeps being poor, that does fall on coaches as well, especially if it keeps happening. But like
Right.
on tape, like the past week, the stalling is kind of execution based. More like the plays are kind of you can see the there's a logic behind them. But today they had such a good position that Rams defense is not good. Like by the advanced metrics, but like total points, EPA, that Rams defense is like uh 25 to 32 defending the run and like middle tier versus the pass.
Yeah.
So it's not it's and it's just weird that Seattle had to settle for, after the touchdown, had to settle for 3 field goals, and even the penalties that falls to them shooting themselves in the foot as well.
Yeah, because it's
Uh,
not a talent issue. We keep on saying this every single week.
that
It's not
yeah,
a
yeah,
talent issue. Like they should be better than this. There's no excuse for them not to be better, and I would
yeah,
even
because
say significantly better
because you
than
can
they
point
have
to
been.
injuries, right? But this offensive line is now as healthy as it probably is going to be. We'll have to see if Abraham Lucas can make his way back, maybe possibly on Thursday. But Jason Peters has been playing well, and
Right,
uh, the interior defensive line is what it is. I think it's more about and they've been healthy for a bit now. That kind of 4 of the 5 have like
right,
1 or 2 games, right?
right.
They should be on the same page by this point. I think it's more about helping the O line as well. Like,
Well, and talking about the talent, I feel like they're dynamic enough in their talent to adapt and still
right,
find success in
because
other ways.
we spoke before the season about how Jackson Smith and Jigba would be that kind of third receiving target that they need. Jake Bobo's emerged as an exciting type of player, as a guy who can kind of do a bit of everything, despite having also a big 6'4" frame. The tight ends and the multiple tight end usage seemed pretty good
Yeah,
today, especially on those opening that opening drive. I definitely noticed it, where it kind of got them favorable looks to attack. Have to see if that continued during the game. I'm sure it did. I remember there was a play where they tried to throw it like a throwback play to Noah Fant of play action where the Rams just didn't buy it at all
yeah,
because it was 13 personnel in a look which didn't really. It was like so obviously trying to sell run that it wasn't, but it was like 2 downfield routes. It just didn't work. Yeah, I don't. But I think that's a good point. We thought the offense had basically all the talent to avoid the regression of last year and the reasons for the regression. And what's if it was just like Gino ain't it or Gino's playing really poorly, that would be an easier explanation. But to me, rather than like just bashing the quarterback, especially in a game like this where it's like you can't
yeah,
like reasonably put much of that on Gino at all. To me, it's more interesting to look at like, well, actually, what is going on here because it kind of defies what we thought a lot of people's preseason expectations.
yeah. Yeah, we could simplify it and be like, "Oh, it's Gino's fault. All right, that's the end of the show. Goodbye." But like like that's not how it works, right? I mean, sometimes quarterback play is just so bad. Like, yeah, that's just what it is. But like in this particular instance, there's a lot of context. There's a lot that's going on into the to the Seahawks struggles, and some of which like we don't even know, right? We don't know exactly what's going on there, and who shares the biggest slices of blame here, because everyone's again, like I said earlier, like everyone's kind of contributed to it a little bit, or to varying degrees. So um, yeah,
I just don't get how in close games the offense became it felt so out of balance.
well, yeah, especially
Like
when
and
so
it
when they had
started
Drew
feeling
in.
pretty balanced.
And when Drew was in the game and they were asking Drew to protect the lead, that I think it was his first full drive where they
Yeah,
had him
well,
roll out. There was the tip pass.
well, I get
Like
the boot's fine. Like it's off of run action. Like it's all you know.
yeah, but again with the inconsistencies on the run calling, it feels like it's not like earned. But I
Right.
don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It just it's confusing, man. It's confusing. These issues are really confusing.
Yeah, and if I'm able to attend the press conference tomorrow, a good question would be, how similar are the reasons for the offensive struggles to the start of the year? Because they look pretty similar to me. Like, I don't, obviously they got healthier on the O line, but it looks recurring, I'd say. I don't think there was much new here. It'll
Yeah.
be interesting to see what the tape shows. Well, that's kind of the offense, which is depressing. If we look at I guess the next subject tie should be penalties because this
Yeah.
game, oh my god, the officials came to play. So the Rams had 9 penalties for 92 total yards. The Seahawks had 12 penalties for 130 total yards, particularly costly ones like Devon Witherspoon throwing down a Rams defender on third and something. Was it third and something?
I don't think it was third. I think it was like
Might have
first
been
or second.
first and 10 actually, but it
Yeah.
extended the drive. Um, the big
But
one
it turned
was
it turned a negative play into 15 yards or whatever it was.
right. Yeah, it was a
So
negative play. The big one was Reek Woolen, hands to the face, correct call, but he looked surprised at how fast the receiver came off the line of scrimmage. I think he was in the cover 2, so he's trying to get underneath, trying to reroute and get underneath the receiver in trail position, but he was a bit slow out. Maybe his eyes were just caught in the wrong place, or the timing of the play surprised him. But not the first time he's had a hands to the face penalty. But if you're late, you're kind of really trying to recover. So that's part of it. But unfortunate because that happened on 3rd and 15. The ball was thrown in the other direction, and Seattle got off the. Well, they didn't get off the field, but they would have got off the field if that hadn't happened. So
mhm. Yeah.
not great. There was the roughing the passer penalty on Devon Witherspoon? Because I know there's been some discussion that it was Quandre Diggs who was flagged for it, but it just seemed like tripped feet and then Nakua kind of fell over, like flopped, sold it
Oh
on
yeah,
third and goal.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was
That one I
that
thought was just a crap penalty,
that's
just
a
absolute
terrible. That
nonsense.
was a terrible call. That was a terrible call. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, no, Nakua, like you can see Witherspoon pull his jersey slightly right before he runs past Diggs and trips,
yeah.
but that's not DPI on Diggs. There's nothing he can do about that. He's not even playing the receiver in that situation, so you can't call DPI on Diggs. And I don't think Witherspoon committed enough of a foul there to warrant a penalty with the little tug on the jersey. And again, that's not what they called it for. That's not when the flag came out. The flag came out because Nakua fell. And there's nothing, I don't even think they made contact. I don't think he even like put his hand on him in general after they passed by Diggs.
No,
So
he just got his feet tangled. But like, I don't also like in that situation. Spoon would never want to commit. Like, no one wants to commit offensive pass interference, but from a logical standpoint, he has vision on the quarterback
mhm,
and can see that the ball is overthrown. He is not. He's not trying to. He's not even
yeah,
trying to touch the receiver by that point. He
yeah,
just tripped over their feet got tangled. So
yeah,
yeah, the officials came to play. I don't think that was the one penalty I thought was poor. Like I
yeah,
really don't think that should have been called. I think the rest, well, the spoon lifting the guy up and putting him in the turf. Like in the moment that happened, they were fine not to throw a flag. Then the
mhm,
Rams react, the crowd reacts, and then they throw the flag. Well,
yeah,
you cannot let that influence you. You have to be logical because he already has him and the runner is straining. And as we saw later, the Rams were with the whistle. I mean, it's how they were calling the game, so fine. They were allowed to push the pile, and then the whistle would be blown. Just and push the pile a tiny bit longer with the whistle. Just because you throw someone, he didn't throw him on his head; he threw him on his back. The runner should
yeah,
strain longer than a whistle. It just didn't match the rest of the intensity of the game or the game after that point, and it felt more kind of home crowd, home team influenced, and I felt that was pretty ticky tacky and
Yeah.
and poor. Yeah, it was just and contrasting to last week where there was not many penalties at all. It just it completely ruins the flow of a game, even if it's by letter of the law correct. It's just insane.
Yeah, no, it's like I said earlier, like it's bad football. And that's a lot of it because of the officiating. And it's not like were they bad calls, most of it, at least for me. It's not really a matter of that. It's just so many of them. The quantity of the calls and some of the calls that are like, okay, sure, those are fouls, but those get let go on, in other instances. So it's
Yeah, Kerry makes a great point. Actually, thank you, Kerry. The defensive pass interference in the end zone should be reviewable. Camden
it should.
mentioning that Woolen's DPI was bull. Yeah, I forgot about that one. He's playing press on a fade, and the ball is
Yeah.
massively overthrown, like out of bounds. It absolutely, it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
And they just weren't interested in stuff like that either. Even the spoon play, that was kind of not a catchable ball either. But yeah,
No.
and the spoon one set up the first touchdown drive for the Rams in the second quarter. So, not the spoon one, sorry, the woolen
The
one.
Woolen one. Yeah.
So just yeah. I knew that there was another egregious one, and then the fact, Ty, that Aaron Donald on a kind of similar play to how Russell Wilson got hurt against the Rams. But he's entitled to jump up for the pass, right? But as we've
Yep.
seen with Boye Mafe, when you jump up
Yep.
for the pass, you are rising and your hand will rise and you can contact the head and neck area of the quarterback. He contacted the head and neck area of Geno Smith from
Yeah.
the end zone angle, from the side angle. We got like 3 different angles of him hitting. That's roughing the passer, but
Yeah. Yeah.
the refs decided not to throw a flag on that one.
Yeah.
So.
Should that be a penalty? No, in the general sense, but in like in terms of the spirit of the way that call is made, that
Well,
absolutely should
and
have been
Ty,
called.
I think that's much more dangerous than what Mafe did.
Yeah. No,
Because
100%.
ultimately Gino kind of lands awkwardly because his whole face has been smacked backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
So
like upper body.
yeah, so it's it's a dangerous play, and I don't really see how that doesn't get called in that situation. But also, it's Aaron Donald, right? So does that have an effect on it? Maybe. I don't know. But I mean, Gino got pretty messed up on that play, and we usually see whenever quarterbacks take a significant hit like that, usually flags come out because ultimately the quarterback's the product at the end of the day. That's what the NFL wants to protect the most, at least in theory. But in that situation, they again, a lot of inconsistency in terms of like the things that are typically called, not getting called, and things that are like can go either way, just getting called a lot today. Just a weird game from the officials. Like I don't like focusing solely on officiating, after a loss, because I think there's a lot more context that goes into losses than that. But I think there were some questionable calls, and they definitely had a pretty big impact on what happened today.
Yeah, unfortunate. And Seattle held the Rams' run game to about 3.9 yards per carry, 4 yards per carry, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
And I think the defense played okay. They just got tired. The offense was so poor,
yeah,
especially in that second half. I mean, if you look at the stats in the first half, Seattle was 4 of 7 on third down, so above that 57% mark they want to be. In the second half, they were 1 for 8 on third down.
yeah,
Think how many of those third downs were with Drew Lock in the game, and then think how many of those third downs were. The third down they picked up was at the end, wasn't it? Was it? Maybe not.
yes,
I don't know. Yeah, the Geno pass to DK I think was on third down.
yeah.
No,
The like
it wouldn't have been actually. No, I'm wrong. It was
w-
somewhere, but essentially they collapsed it on third down in the second half, and there's a lot of stuff going on with that, as
which
we've talked
third
about.
the last third of DK, like on the last drive? I thought that was on third down. Pretty sure that was
Maybe.
I yeah, because that was after the Charbonnet reveal.
Oh yeah, 2nd and 8. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 2nd and 8 on the Charbonnet catch. Or
Yeah,
yeah,
you're right.
or like no, it became 3rd and 8. Whatever, I'm
Anyway,
confusing
yeah.
myself. But it was 3rd down. It was 3rd down on the DK
Okay.
catch.
Yeah. So I guess the other injury news is that Jarek Reed, who'd been a bit of a special team star, was 2nd in the league in special teams tackles. He hurt his knee, and they need to see how that is. Hopefully, he's okay. He's
Yep.
been a really kind of unsung hero.
Yep.
Other injury news: we've dealt with Walker. We've dealt with Geno Smith. They didn't ask about Jaron Reed, but I know he returned to the game.
Mhm.
Yeah. Anything else, chat, that you want us to talk about? The other thing with the... Yeah. I'm kind of lost, Ty. I don't know what else to say. That's kind of it. The good news is they don't have to play the Rams again unless they
That's
unless
always good.
they I didn't see that. Yeah, they don't have to play the Rams again unless somehow they get in the wild card round. The other positive news is that the Seahawks are in wild card contention. The NFC is bad.
Yeah.
And the Seahawks are 6-4. They still have a winning record. They're currently the 7th seed. There we go.
There you go.
And they do control their destiny. Now, it's got to be now or never. And
Right.
the 49ers game on Thursday Night Football is massive. Jamal
Right.
Adams obviously didn't play in this game, which we didn't talk about. He's been
Yep.
dealing with a sore knee. He was said it was biting towards the end of the Week 10 game at home to the Washington Commanders. He said he was grateful that game didn't go to overtime. He was really hoping it didn't. He then missed practice on Wednesday as a limited participant on Thursday, and then missed practice on Friday. So, they missed the strong safety / nickel in their defense, but hopefully he'll be able to play on Thursday because they kind of need his dynamic presence along with Witherspoon.
Yeah.
OG3 asked, was the pass rush not great? I felt they probably did about as well as they can. McVay got in his bag and they had enough plays. Now Stafford only passed 123 passing yards, 10 completions on 19 attempts. So that's the second half. He had 190 yards, 17 of 31. So he didn't do much really. They just had enough plays. But when you're booting, you're rolling, you're chipping, you're keeping tight ends in, you're moving the pocket. The pass rush is gonna find it more difficult. But I felt the pass rush did pretty damn well, to be honest. They moved him off his spot enough.
Yeah.
Maffei had a good game. Leonard Williams flashed again. Make sure you check my video on him if you want some optimism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought Leo had a really good game. I thought Boya had another good game. I think you see, what kind of difference going from like the week 1 matchup to today. The difference that Devin Witherspoon makes and having him against this Rams offense. They definitely had a better game plan and obviously better execution against Stafford than in week 1.
The
So
Rams, to that point, Ty, the Rams went 2 for 9 on 3rd down, 33%. They're 22%, sorry.
Yeah, no, so there's a lot of things to like hang your hat on here. And I mean, really the biggest way that the Rams were able to move the ball, penalties.
Yeah, including Ty, even on like that missed opportunity where Seattle jumped off sides and they missed Cooper Kupp. He kind of dropped it. Stafford kind of missed it where, Seattle was, I think, playing cover 2 on that side, and they're just late getting underneath the route because the ball's been snapped. We jumped off sides. They didn't expect the ball to come out.
Right. There was also the wheel route that Stafford missed.
Yeah, and I kind of, so in that sense, you could say like the defense actually got away with a few things, but and yes, they did. But I think it's important to look at why those happened. Well, the offsides thing I just talked about, but the wheel route I kind of read as Spoon was kind of trying to bait the throw to the shallow and thought it was going there. Stafford probably gave him the eyes, but with Stafford giving the eyes, he's going to be more inaccurate to the wheel route, which I believe was Spoon's responsibility. And so, because he's kind of late to it, that's kind of how he also misses it. So you kind of have to acknowledge what was going on there. But yeah, that was definitely a missed opportunity for the Rams. But yeah, I mean, how many penalties did they have by first down? It would be, or how many first downs, sorry, did they have by penalties? So I wish I had something that would tell me that, but yeah, the penalties was a key thing on defense, and tellingly that was the first thing that they had 5 first downs from penalties. Tellingly, that was the first thing that Pete Carroll highlighted.
Yeah.
And he got that big stat sheet. It's not that big. It's like a little small A6, A5. I don't know how A size you get on paper. It was small as
Sure.
usual, but on his big stat sheet, the penalties would have shown up as preventable, and also as frustrating when there's at least 2, which we've talked about and he'll have been thinking about as well, where you're like, that's not really correct. Yeah. Kerry asks, what games are the Seahawks winning in the next 4? I'm banking on beating Dallas. Well, Dallas is certainly winnable, isn't it? Now, that may sound deluded, but I think the defense matches up well with their offense, famous last words, but schematically, also personnel-wise, I think what they're doing on defense does match up well with how Dallas plays. Now, honestly, with not just that game, but the rest of the Seahawks schedule, Ty, it's kind of now or never. Like, how good a team are you? Like, immediately they have the San Francisco 49ers on Thursday, as I talked about. And then it just gets tougher. The Dallas Cowboys on another Thursday night game. Then 49ers
Yep.
on the road. And then the Eagles at home. So,
Yeah.
do you want to be good or not? Because you made a
Yeah.
Rams team who weren't very good. You let them back into the game. And
Yeah. And again, part of that is obviously the Geno injury, but you also have to wonder, like, is Geno going to be limited and what he can do? I mean, he didn't look that way. In the last drive, like
the ball was fluttering.
was it fluttering a little
Oh,
bit?
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I
Oh,
wasn't there. Oh,
oh man. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
oh,
It's wobbly. Yeah.
oh no.
Because the broadcast was like, hey, he looks fine. I was like, that curl throw to Lockett took like a while.
Okay.
And then the next
Yeah.
throw was like,
I just saw it live, and from that angle, it looked fine to me. But yeah, so yeah, if there is an issue there, like how limited is he? How is that going to impact? And again, talking about Waldron and being adaptive and being reflective in his play calling of the circumstances that he has. How are they going to be able to work around that if Geno isn't able to make all the throws and he isn't able to execute all the concepts? So
yeah.
it's not a great spot to find yourself in.
Jordan in the chat says we scheme better when we know we have limitations. There's definitely an argument for that.
Yeah.
Like, it just keeps them focused. Again, those first 2 drives in particular, and obviously, they moved the ball for a while on both of them, so it's quite easy to say, but they felt more balanced, and they felt like a real mix between run and pass, multiple tight ends. Need to go back and watch the tape, but it just felt so much more cohesive and together and coupled and better sequencing, which an opening script should be. But then how does it become such a mess and so kind of situationally like unaware, or just that obtuse? It's just odd. Now, Geno was seen rubbing. Twitter was very keen to point it out. He was rubbing a type of cream on his elbow, and it was in a Tiger Balm, no free ads, Tiger Balm tin, which apparently is for. Well, I know what Tiger Balm is, but I didn't know that they'd embrace that. I guess.
I mean,
that's all they can do.
Always
it's
compete.
Like a heat rub, right? So
always compete.
Always compete. I would recommend to Geno Arnica Montana. Have you ever used Arnica, Ty?
No. Have you?
It's really
you?
good.
Yeah.
No free ads, but when I was a kid and I used to like run into like a table, you just put that on your forehead, and then the bruise is fine.
There you go. So there might have been a little Toradol action going on in that blue tent. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, let's not speculate.
Right.
Yeah. Probably like. Yeah. Some. Yeah. There was ice. We saw an ice pack.
Some of that good. Yeah.
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 Anyway, so I guess that's it, Ty. And the offense has had quite a few chances to not do this. You can't score on every drive. However, what happened, given the situation as well, and like the context, it is pretty kind of wild.
Yeah. And it's not very inspiring given what's coming up here over the next month. But hopefully the cope here is that you have nothing to lose. But also you kind of have everything to lose.
Yeah. And the coach
you
is
should
also
look
like
at it. You should look at it like you have nothing to lose.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's the cope here, though, Matty?
Well, I still think Gino's a very good quarterback.
Yeah.
And yeah, like certainly a top 10 quarterback in the league. And I just don't understand, as we've been talking about, how the offense can be that poor without. I mean, what we're talking about here is ultimately if it kind of continues in the similar ways as well, Shane Waldron will lose his job.
Yeah.
And maybe Gino won't get paid because, or they kind of have some flexibility with his contract, don't they, in the remaining 2 years after this season. But yeah, and that's the other thing. So obviously Drew Lock comes into the game. He tries his best. Bless him. People who are like going now, we've had people who are like, Drew Lock is the answer. He's the future. Why don't we see what he has compared to Gino? And that is pretty ridiculous. But also, he's taken none of the starter reps. Like, you can't really judge him on what happened when the first play gets tipped. And, if that was Gino, it would get tipped. And you'd probably get Gino detractors being really negative about that. But, it gets tipped. And then the 3rd and long, Tyler kind of gets pushed and bodied at the catch point. And, Drew probably could have thrown it a bit longer. But if Tyler had flopped, they'd have probably thrown the flag. But it became an arm punt after that guy taunted and did eventually give Seattle a shot to win after their defense eventually got the stop. What I'm saying is, Drew looked stinky and he didn't look on the same page as his receivers. The ball, but he's not on the same page as receivers because think of the amount of reps he's had with them compared to Gino, and think of what the details required to win in the NFL. And ultimately, the reason he comes into the Giants game and scores is because it's a broken play to a guy who he's worked with in Denver for so many years, Noah Fant. This takes time to judge. To act like this is the Drew Lock, this is the game where you're like, yeah, Drew Lock ain't it. No, you can't.
No.
Just look at the preseason against Dallas, why he's not starting. Look at Gino's whole body of work and then just relax.
Yeah. But I will say this. I'm obviously not glad this happened given the circumstances of why this happened, but I'm glad this happened.
Right. Like if if the worst possible way would have been like he throws like a miracle ball into like quadruple coverage. It's a bad throw, but it's caught and it goes for a touchdown.
Yeah, they went on a Hail Mary.
And then they like narrowly lose, but because of the defense.
Oh sure, yeah.
That'd be messy.
Yeah.
Oof, that'd be messy. But I mean, I haven't seen anything too bad on Twitter generally. I think everyone's doing well. That might also be because of a certain button that you can kind of filter out certain tweeters.
A certain owner of a certain website has taken away a lot of good features, but there's still a couple on there. There's still a couple stragglers on there.
Banger.
Yeah, there's still a couple bangers on there.
Yeah. Anything else for us, chat? We are live, so we can do this all night.
We're live.
Are the Broncos winning? Hopefully not, because if they are, that means the pick gets a bit less enticing. They're losing. Perfect.
I think if they surpass the Saints, right, we're Wait. No. Yes. No.
We
No.
just need losing. We just need losing. I'm not working
It's
it out.
yeah.
Lose, lose, lose,
Uh,
lose, lose. I
s-
we should talk about. I think Spoon had a really impactful game again.
yep.
Like, yeah, there was that play where he got a bit risky, but he had it felt like more than one pass deflection. But he also had a quarterback hit, didn't he? He had that sack, which was unbelievable, taking
Right.
his. What was so impressive to me about that is they're bringing him off the edge and they're slanting the defensive tackle inside a gap to set up the pressure path and the outside back inside a gap. So what that means is Spoon has to have the edge of the pocket. But as Stafford kind of stepped up and the way that the spacing of the pocket played out, Spoon saw the opportunity that his tackle was kind of setting him wide, or it might have been a tight end, probably a tackle though. And so he knew he could take a shot and loop inside and go and get Stafford, and he brought him down. I mean, that's kind of high level shot taking, recognizing the opportunity to make a play that he's been so good at already as a rookie, and he kind of is that dominating, swallowing player. So there's a positive for you.
Cope. Good cope. Good
Yeah,
cope.
that and then the other thing I guess I should probably talk about is a lot of the plays that Sean McVay drew up were to start off with. They were designed to get Cooper Cup on the side away from the nickel, so on linebacker like
Mhm.
Jordan Brooks, and then have Brooks play like ISO ball with Cooper Cup, and then get him on Wagner occasionally. Obviously, then Cooper Cup leaves the game with an ankle injury, and what ended up happening was a lot of kind of deep, like deep intermediate, like that 15 to 20 yard range where Bobby Wagner's area of the field in the different coverages is getting hit
Yeah.
underneath, where he's getting so much depth, or hit just outside in that kind of deep curl area, where I need to watch it back and see who exactly is at fault, but ultimately it did feel like a big game plan to go after the stuff we spoke about with Wagner and coverage, but that is what it is. He's still playing Mike. He's still playing in 6 defensive back looks as well. They're not going to change at this point. That's just going to be a thing that you live with, and you also look at the fact that he had 10 tackles today, and you did some stuff as a blitz of bull rushing running backs, had 1 tackle for loss. But
Cool.
yeah, there's a
Very,
coverage
very,
thing.
very cool. Very epic.
Yeah, amazing,
Mhm.
epic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So epic.
Well, Ty, I think we've done it.
Yay. Yeah. That game sucked. 2 weeks ago sucked against the Ravens. But hey, there's 7 games left, and hey, if there's any time to do some cool stuff, it's now. So do the cool stuff, Seahawks. Starting Thursday, you could do something really cool.
Yeah, so how would that work if they beat the 49ers? Would they still be behind because they've lost twice to the Rams, and the 49ers have beat the Cardinals?
Doesn't it technically not even matter because it depends on what happens in the second head-to-head matchup?
No, yeah, but Ty, the
Right, right, right,
screenshots.
right. The screenshots, yeah. I think
Is it
I
head
think
basically is it head to head or is it just division?
I think the Seahawks would have first place.
Okay.
They won
Okay.
because I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think
Thank
it's
you,
head to head.
Jay. We'd be in the lead. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
there we go. There we go.
Um
So
yeah,
yeah,
Jay,
the
don't
screen
don't do that.
this
Jay, don't do that with glue.
yeah, don't do that.
Don't
Don't
do
do
that.
that. The
Don't do
Seattle
that.
Overload podcast does not prove of that.
Yeah, we're anti solvent abuse.
Right. Right. Yeah. So the screenshots live. The screenshots are still possible. So Gino, get healthy. You can have my elbow if you want it. It's not a great elbow, but it'll serve you fine. And
Arnica, I'm telling you.
Annika, yeah. And yeah, go Hawk.
Yes,
Singular.
indeed.
No, not plural. Just go Hawk.
Yeah, and on that subject, Ty, you don't just do Hawk. You do Seattle Mariners content, and Ty on the Locked On Mariners podcast has asked people for a Monday mailbag. So make sure you've replied to that tweet and get your questions in on the Seattle Mariners, who have signed a really exciting player. They've taken care of their big business of the off season with Luis Urias. So
How did you say that name?
I said it. So
You're
and
you're
Urias.
Urias.
I said Urias.
Yeah.
You're an
They've
ass.
done. Yeah. Accurate. Yeah. Deserving. I am deserving of that. Yeah. Yeah. They've done all their heavy lifting. Off season's over, folks. That's it. So, ask us about our thoughts on the finality of the Mariners 2024 roster. Let us know. Will the Mariners finally make the postseason next year? Tune in tomorrow on Locked On Mariners to find out. That's right.
Wow, that was very slick. It's like you do this for like a living.
Right. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't. Yeah. Want to make that clear. What idiot would spend their entire week each week talking about a mediocre baseball team?
In the off season.
It must be a real stupid person that would do that.
Yeah. Anyway, make sure you check out my Leonard Williams video. Tell a friend about it. Let's get it to 10K views. I don't think that's going to happen, but it might if you try. How do you know if you don't try? But thank you everyone for the support on that. That he was still good this game as well, so that's good. Like they have a good player for second round pick, basically. So that's nice. Hopefully they can re-sign him. Also, keep an eye on Seahawks on tape.com. It's where I post the podcast, but I've been I have 10,000 words on on their run defense scheme, which is still good. The problem is it had two bad games against the quarterback run offenses of Cleveland and the Ravens, and it's how do I package that and sell it, and it is a monster. So it's a real monster, and I need to kind of work that out and see if I can get that done before the 49ers game, or if I want to get it done before the 49ers game, or if hopefully the run defense can be good against the 49ers. You see my dilemma.
I do see your dilemma.
Thank you, Ty. Appreciate that. We'll be back.
I acknowledge your dilemma.
I just dropped my phone. We'll be back on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. Obviously, we've got to preview the 49ers game. I will see if I can get a tape thing done. Where I did a new format for the podcast, the tape podcast, where I went solo and just like talked over two key topics. Maybe, as requested from Zachary Stewart, I'd like to see a breakdown of early down offense. Yeah, okay. Maybe Zachary. That could be the time, huh?
There we go.
We could get that done. And Jay, thank you for the kind comment on the Williams video. This is unacceptable.
Wow.
3-8 versus McVay. The last season was the first time they'd won in Los Angeles since 2017, Ty.
Yeah, I was aware of that. It's pain.
Yeah. But
retire, please. Both Aaron and McVay, please retire.
Yeah. Ban.
But will it matter though? I mean, every era of the Seahawks over the last 20 years has struggled against the Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Doesn't matter who the regime is in Seattle. Doesn't matter what the regime is in St. Louis or LA. It's just the same stuff. Getting tired
Have a great
of it.
Thanksgiving.
I'm tired of it. Hit it, Matty.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. It will be better tomorrow or not.